Today is November the 14th, 2017. I'm here with Barry Sherman, school social worker here at Bronze Academy. Mr. Sherman, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Thanks for taking the time out to do this assignment with me.
Sure.
Mr. Sherman, I have two questions here for you to answer. So when I look at our teacher working condition survey, mainly in the learning environment domain, we have a very low percentage. Actually, 29% of our teachers think interaction between student and adult is low. What's your intake on this?
Okay. So, Mr. Edwards, that's a huge question, and I could talk for a long, long time, but I know you don't have a long, long time for this assignment. So I'm only going to say a few things. First of all, I want to say we have amazing kids at Bruns.
Thank you.
Amazing kids, amazing potential, very smart, very creative, very, very capable. And the financially challenged backgrounds that a lot of the kids come from doesn't create this problem and doesn't prevent them from learning. My observation, though, is when you have a school like Bruns, which is considered a high poverty school,
right?
All of the kids at the school basically are coming from the same background. That creates a very unique set of challenges. And while the kids have a lot of strengths and a lot of skills, I was just saying to a group of students today in a class I was teaching that they don't know how to support each other toward being their best. And I think that very much relates to how they interact with each other and how they interact with the adults around them.
Correct.
And that is a problem that is especially magnified at schools where you don't have diversity, where you only have a very homogeneous grouping of kids. And in this case, it's all low-income kids, and because there's such a strong correlation between race and financial background, we basically have all kids of color. And so that creates a unique set of challenges that I think plays out in the culture challenges that we have here.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. Well said. I've been here for a while, and I will agree with everything you just said. Our population is the same thing they're seeing every day.
Yes.
And as a result, there's nothing to feed into.
Yes, and I'm going to say one other thing for this fine video camera that you're holding there. And the reason I know this is so important is because I have an 8th grade group of student leaders that I work with who are partnered with 8th graders at Providence Day School, which is one of the most premier independent private schools in Charlotte. When this group of 8th graders from Bruns is with that group of 8th graders from Providence Day, we don't have disrespectful behavior. We don't have, I never have to correct the kids. There is something about a diverse peer group that allows some very special things to occur. And without that, we have all sorts of difficulties, and I think the school culture issues we have are directly related to that.
Mr. Sherman, I'm going to go one step further, and I know this wasn't a planned question, but CMS is rezoning, and we're moving into where kids are being bused to different zones, and that's something in the plan for years to come. What's your take on this, and how can Bronze be in line with this?
Well, I mean, actually, there's the pupil reassignment plan that was just passed does not include a plan to bus kids to a lot of different parts of Charlotte, like was done, 40 years ago. That's not the plan, and I think that's a misconception. There's some new magnet options that is going to allow kids to have more opportunities. There are some school pairings that is going to help relieve some of the concentrations of poverty. But in terms of Bruns, Bruns is going to be a whole different school next year. The neighborhoods surrounding Bruns are quickly gentrifying. The new parents moving in want this school to be their neighborhood school of choice. They have been very organized. They've driven a process that's resulted in Bruns now will be a K-5 school and will be a partial magnet school. So circling back to Bruns, maybe not next year or 2 years from now, but 3, 4, 5 years from now, Bruns is going to be a very different school just because of all of the changes that are happening in the neighborhood around it.
So, Mr. Sherman, you mentioned about a few kids from Bruns who are going to country day school and they're coming back.
Yeah,
and
Providence Day.
Providence Day, my bad. And I'm seeing the changes in these kids. How can we get the general population here to buy into what you're trying to build with some students that are in your program?
Yeah. I wish I had a better answer. It's very, very difficult because what happens is when I have my leadership group together in my class, 15 kids one day, 15 kids the next day, there's 30 total. Or when I have the 10 student leadership council members in a private meeting, as we do very often, the kids are very different in that meeting and in that classroom setting than when they go back out into the regular experience of school. They are able to create a sense of support and trust, and they're able to take the mask off and be more real and express more of their intelligence and more of their hopes and dreams for the future. But when the overall culture does not support that, and when the overall culture of students, when that's not one of their greatest strengths, it's asking a lot for those kids then to go back to the regular classroom experience and stay with what they were doing when they were with me. It's very, very hard. It's like asking, fish to swim in 2 different lakes.
Right.
And they swim well in one lake, but then if you put them in a different lake and there's problems with that lake and it's a bit polluted, they're not going to swim as well. And again, I want to say it's not the kids. The kids individually are awesome. It's when the kids come together, they just don't know. They don't have the skills to be able to support each other each day to be their best, because drama and making fun of each other and being shy about showing how smart you are, those things win the day.
Yep. Okay, Mr. Sherman, I think we have answered most of the questions. Thank you so much for taking the time out and helping me out with this assignment. Appreciate it, sir.
Unity in the community.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sherman.